Zack Snyder sucks. Welcome to Bonehead.
Aw, I mean, there's Dawn of the
no,
Dead,
I
and then
mean-
there's what's the other one? I didn't hate Watchmen. I just
There's Watchmen and 300. I'll give you Watchmen and 300 and a half of Dawn of the Dead.
no, I actually think Dawn of the Dead and 300 are better than Watchmen. Overall,
I don't know. I like Watchmen.
overall,
I think Watchmen's pretty as
he
close.
got 2/3 of Watchmen.
Have y'all seen Army of the Dead yet?
No,
Get back to me.
well, that still doesn't affect Dawn of the Dead. It's just a different kind of zombie movie.
Yeah,
I'm going to give him props. Dawn of the Dead gave me nightmares. It was fine during the movie, but that night I had a couple of nightmares. Actually,
We could do it.
Hold on. James, shut up.
Yes, sir.
You have given me shit for years that Shocker gave me nightmares, but aren't Dawn of the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead and Blair Witch Project are the two movies
Blair
got
Witch
to me that night. I mean, it wasn't necessarily that I was scared during the movie. It was later, whatever it was in my subconscious and got to me. I don't know if it was the imagery because it was different, man. I mean, when you just keep on reading, James. When
y'all let me know when we're ready to do a
Dawn
show.
of the Dead. The problem
Hey
with
James,
Dawn of the Dead,
are you still shutting up? Yeah, he's still shutting up. Go ahead.
problem with Dawn of the Dead, Chad, is
There
it
you
just shouldn't have been called Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
It
I
was
said,
different. It's fine if they go do the running zombies, but
I said
the
I'm
fact
giving
that
you
it's
Dawn
a
of the Dead.
half-assed remake of a movie of probably the best zombie film of all time.
And I'm not
It just
arguing
shouldn't
with
called
you.
Dawn of the Dead.
I enjoyed Dawn of the Dead, but you get back to me after y'all see Army of the Dead.
I
Hey,
absolutely will.
It's got
So anyway,
Tig Notaro
Joe.
in it.
Hold on, Jake. Joe, intro.
Well, this isn't my fault.
It's got Tig Notaro in it, right?
Oh yeah, but
I didn't do any of this shit. Now, sometimes I'll go off on a tangent. This one wasn't on me. So anyway, we are doing 1999. Now, we've done several.
So we're gonna party like it's
1999. Absolutely. I've got a
97.
cat behind me if you're watching us. If you're listening, there was a cat behind
that's a
me.
Marvin the Martian. That's not a cat.
Well, he got down. I was feeding him beef jerky, and he has a really sensitive stomach. So this can't end well, right?
I was
He's
feeding
gonna
him out the seltzers with.
He's going to shit through the screen door and never touch the screen later. Anyway, why a cat would just line up with the screen door is beyond me, but it's a phrase I heard growing up that I like. So
How big
1999.
a screen door are we talking? I mean, if it's a big enough screen door, it doesn't have to touch any part of the screen door.
That's true. Now, if you're a fan of Bonehead Weekly, and if you're listening to this, so we hope you are, you know that we have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that 1982 is not the best year for movies of all time. It was 19, what, gentlemen?
Tickety 2.
35.
Chad's vaping. 1989, remember?
No.
Chad doesn't watch our show. He barely participates.
I don't either, but at least I remember that. I don't even remember shit, and I remember that. But as we were talking, we had a lot better memory, or at least we thought 1989 had more bang for our buck, even though a lot of the classic cinema came out in 1982. Problem is,
Because it does.
There's only 6 weekends of it, whereas
And it did feel
1989
like-
had one consistent.
And it did feel like, every time James would list off a week of 1989, we're like, damn, that's a good movie. Damn,
Yeah.
that's a good movie. It just kept going.
Even the
Whereas-
ones that flopped, we still
Yeah.
remember them to this day, like UHF.
Whereas
Star Trek
1982 was that lawnmower that wouldn't start. Right?
Man.
I mean, we went through weekends where we were like, what? No.
1982 is
no.
great for 6 weekends.
Yeah.
Can
there's-
we
I
go
mean,
back to UHF and just talk about how Billy Barty stole that movie?
Billy
No, I was
Barty?
watching it the
Hold
other
on.
day, and I hadn't seen it in a long time, and some of the jokes were not landing for me
Hold on.
like they
hold on.
did 30 years ago.
You mentioned Billy Barty. Billy Barty, God bless his soul, or God rest his little soul. John
Why does
Ritter.
his soul got to be little?
John Ritter says it in Bad Santa. Maybe if you watch the movie, you can get a reference now and again. See, the funny part is, for those that are listening, he watches a lot of movies.
All right, so we did that. We've done a couple of others. I wanted to do 1994, but what I kept when we would do research on these, 1999 kept popping up, and I was like, well, shit, I was in college. I don't remember 1999 being that great. And then I started looking like, damn, there are a lot of great movies. And there's actually
1999 was horrible. That's when we met.
okay, but there's actual there's an actual book written about it. Best movie year ever, how 1999 blew up the big screen. The book is by Brian Rafferty. I just want to give him a shout out. I've never met him. It'd been cool if he'd been on the show.
Did you invite him?
No, I didn't invite him.
Did you read his book?
No, I didn't read it.
So there you go.
I didn't read
So
it.
maybe we should look at both those issues and see if he'll do the show later.
Well, some of the reviews I said his arguments were not valid, but I did start seeing that across the internet, 1999 is considered one of the last great years. And I started reading some of the movies and I go, man, that could be the last best, right before Y2K, right before the year turned to 2000, that we had cinema that we still remember today. And it was different. There was some different kind of movies coming out that year.
Yeah, and I didn't look up any of the independent stuff for this one because I kind of wanted, because I knew of some movies.
I've got a couple that I'm going to bring up as we go, because they're small films that didn't make a lot of money, but they've got important people in them. Yeah,
and I didn't, like I said, I kind of wanted to go in this a little bit surprised because I do know of a couple of movies that came out in 1999, and I want to see this argument because I can't recall how that was such a great year for cinema, but I might be surprised because I can only off the top of my head list off 2 or 3.
Dude, and it had Forces of Nature with Ben Affleck and Sandra Bullock.
Now, my weekends. Don't give away my weekends now.
I didn't say which weekend.
But should we talk about some other life big moment events that happened in 1999? I've got a list if you'd like me to go through.
Yeah, go ahead. Y2K was the first one off the top of my head.
Y2K was the big one, but in terms of technology, Bluetooth was invented in 1999. It first was announced.
It was 20 years later, it was announced that 20 years later, Joe would be looking at his fucking cell phone, pissed that the battery's draining because of Bluetooth.
Yeah. Or my headphones won't sync up. MySpace became introduced to the internet. So that kind of changed, that began social media. So good or bad.
Did MySpace really begin social media?
I would say it did.
How about ICQ?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. But no, I'm talking. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, mainstream social media where everybody was in it, not just your average, not just your computer geeks. I don't know what else to call them.
I was trying to think of when I got MySpace, but keep going, Chad.
SpongeBob SquarePants premiered in 1999, May 1st, 1999.
SpongeBob was older than that.
No, 1999. I remember when I watched it in college.
So it shares the same birth date as Family Guy. I mean, same birth year as Family Guy, because Family Guy was 1999.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, y'all were talking about Y2K, and
I keep thinking you guys are making a very good argument for 1999.
I was just going to say, but y'all were talking about Y2K, and all I wanted to do was the line from Family Guy, the Family Guy Y2K episode. Will y'all please stop talking about sex, Jelly?
And 2 political things to note from 1999. Bill Clinton was officially acquitted, and a certain man who went on to do nothing, Vladimir Putin, took over for Boris Yeltsin in 1999. So,
I don't actually think I don't think I realized he took over for Yeltsin. I thought there was somebody in between.
No, it went Boris Yeltsin right to Vladimir Putin.
Excuse me, I got a bit of a cough.
And he has been in power ever since.
Also, culturally wise, America got its first Legoland in California.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was a European tourist attraction before it was an American.
Well, yeah, Lego started out in Germany, right?
Yeah. Also, now it's a relatively common conversation about end of life care, but 1999 gave us the Kevorkian decision.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, where he was found guilty.
Yeah, where he was found guilty of second-degree murder. And I bring that up because now people can just listen to our show.
Timely. All right, let's start out.
Popular TV back then too. The Simpsons, Beverly Hills 90210, Frasier, The X-Files, ER, Friends, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, King of the Hill, and South Park.
One other thing we probably should mention, because it did have some impact on movies indirectly, but movies that were already made, concerns about violence became a little bit more prominent because of Columbine.
Oh, was that 1999?
That's 1999.
That's
I
another
remember.
one of those shared moments, shared events in history that that I think, well, everyone our age knows where they were during Columbine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can honestly say I do not.
Oh, I was drunk in Cartmill.
I don't know where I was on that. I don't remember. I could tell you exactly on another big important day, but Columbine, because I have seriously.
You were
tried
in
to-
Cooper Hall.
Yeah, I seriously tried to rack my brain as to where I was, and I cannot remember.
I remember very specifically.
Two other things happened that are cultural touchstones. One being the follow-up to this failed music festival was held, Woodstock 99.
Yeah.
And also, and I didn't realize this, the last checker cab in New York City is retired, and they auction it off. It ends up selling for $135,000. So there's no authentic checker cabs left. The last one was auctioned off.
I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Let's get into it. What happened in the first week?
What's the
James?
first weekend, James?
Well, January 1st, we get 2 independent films. I'm assuming international films. I'm not sure. I didn't look these up, but Portjima and, forgive me, Taiguni Adoba, which was a drama. Those films combined made $6,000. However, we jump forward to January 6th.
Yeah.
And we get the film Private Confessions. Now, has anybody seen Private Confessions?
No.
Okay, so Private Confessions has a unique history. It was originally, and this isn't too uncommon historically, but definitely during this time period would have been, it was a TV movie first.
Okay.
It was directed by Liv Ullmann, written by Ingmar Bergman, Max von Sydow, etc., etc. It premiered as a television movie in 1996. They re-released it as a theatrical film. The original television was a miniseries, and they cut it down to a theatrical. So they released it in America because originally I believe it was released overseas first as a
it's Sweden.
Yeah, which was Bergman. But anyway, so it did get a U.S. release. It did not exactly light any huge fires or anything like that.
Because everybody talked like this. Hey,
do not insult Bergman, sir. So January 8th, we get a film, and I looked this film up. Because I was like, that's a great title. I am curious. Gentlemen, have either of you ever heard The Sticky Fingers of Time?
No.
Oh,
the Snake of Time is sorry. Go ahead.
The Sticky Fingers of Time, I guess now it's known as kind of a potentially lesbian-based film. It was not a huge hit or anything, but here's the plot summary.
I was going to say the poster has 2 women getting ready to kiss.
Well, and there's a backstory there. Let me get to it.
Okay.
Here's a summary. A writer, Tucker Harding, is hired to cover an article on the hydrogen bomb test, Nevada, 1952. While there, radiation mutates her DNA code and soul, spawning in her the ability to travel through time by force of will. Not long after, she is murdered by a woman from the future, Ophelia, intent on securing her own ability to time travel. However, before her death, Tucker travels to the year 1997, where she meets Drew, a failed writer who has been infected with Tucker's mutation since birth.
Yeah.
That's the plot summary. I was like, yep, Sticky Fingers of Time. Okay.
Evil Dr. Floyd DDS is one of the characters in the movie.
And so the trivia there, Chad.
Why haven't we seen this?
The trivia, Chad, that you talked about, you mentioned the poster. Here's actually what the director and writer said.
Oh, I thought the joke was going to be the fact that one character was named Tucker Harding and another one was Ophelia.
Hillary Brower, who wrote and directed,
I feel you,
did not conceptualize the movie as a lesbian interest and did not market it that way. It became typed as such after gay fans approached her at festival circuits when it played the festival circuit. There you go. Sticky Fingers of Time. I'd never heard of it, but I was like, why not? Time traveling mutants. There's actually a line in it where she talks about creating her own prehensile tail. That quote from that movie got me going, I probably should check out that movie sometime. anybody's a huge Sticky Fingers of Time, tell us about it. Seriously, get on Twitter, Facebook, however you want to reach out. I need to know more about this film.
She also did a movie with Tilda Swinton and Jim Gaffigan. That's an interesting combination.
Well, that's what I always think about when I, eat.
Do you think Tilda?
Oh man, it's hard. Jim Gaffigan's so versatile.
Actually, he did. What was the Netflix movie he did where his daughter wants to join Scouts?
That's Amazon Prime, and it's Troop Zero.
It didn't suck. I
enjoyed it as well.
I've never seen it.
All right. So that was January 8th. So we are now a weekend, and we're not exactly knocking out of the park yet. January 12th, they did a re-release of The Return of Ruben Blades, which is a documentary about Latino music and him doing it across.
I was about to say, go ahead, Chad.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's Ruben Blades.
Well, good.
You uncultured hick.
I didn't.
Sick. He almost said swine, then moved into hick. You're a swick. You uncultured swick.
I've been.
Don't ever besmirch the name of disorganized crimes, Ruben Blades.
I'm sorry. Literally, it's the training in me. If it looks like an English word, I literally should do better. I'm in education. I apologize. Blades or Blades?
Ruben Blades.
Blades.
I've said it 3 different times.
I know, but I'll still get it wrong. I'm trying. Anyway,
he worked with a lady for 3 years and still never said her name right.
I can't. I literally, and I mean to. I try. It won't come out. It's like all the good that won't come out of me. And how?
But the bad and the ugly come out every day.
Yeah, every day.
Oh, harsh.
It's like all the good that won't come out of me.
Nobody knows that. Nobody thinks you're that ugly, James.
And eventually I'll just turn to dust.
And in all fairness, I was making a poop joke.
Oh, thanks, Chad.
You're welcome.
You don't look like poop, James. At least not the corny kind.
Oh,
I'm here to build you up, James. You're not that ugly.
Chad, can you do a quick IMDb check and see if there's a film called The Corny Kind? Because it seems like there should be, like about old vaudeville actors. Wouldn't you watch that? Like if it was, they're out of date, but they're still trying to make it.
And it stars Don Knotts and Tim Conway.
Oh man, that would be a great movie. Why didn't we? Let's build a time machine. Now, don't worry about how we're going to do it. But then we're going to go, instead of curing disease or something, we'll just go make the.
Hold on. This is a joke for film freaks. The time machine will be easier to fix than the damn third act.
Sorry, James. There is only the corny song from 2018.
Oh man!
Well, and then the second hit after corny is Abby Cornish.
I would think she'd be in the corny kind.
And Children of the Corn comes in third. I will not go into the fact that The Core is the fourth hit.
Is Children of the Cornbread on there?
No.
They were banned. They were banned. I don't know if they're still together or not. I shouldn't speak for them.
James, what's next?
So after Ruben returned, you returning that Ruben? It didn't taste right. Anyway.
I just try to suck on my drink without the top being up. That's how dumb I am.
January 13th is another international film that made $9,000 at the box office. I'm going to once again mispronounce this. Krzysztof Maszynów? No idea. That's January 15th, we get the first set of films that people may have heard of. And actually, it's a pretty loaded weekend, though one of the movies is not overly good. We get Val Kilmer in At First Sight.
Yeah.
Shit.
Never seen it.
We get In Dreams.
Oh, that's flawed. Yeah, that's not a terrible movie. It's
pretty
flawed.
As hell.
But
yeah,
look at what other movies came out with that. So At First Sight, In Dreams, Varsity Blues.
Oh God, the Tim Couch story. Keep going.
Virus.
Oh, that's another flawed one that I enjoy. Although Virus is more fun than In Dreams.
And then there's an independent film, Dr. Akagi. But the one I haven't seen,
Dr. Acula,
and I'm kicking myself for not seeing it because it's a comedy, Blood, Guts, Bullets, and Octane. Written and directed by
that's written
Joe Carnahan.
Yeah. Well, if
No,
you're
you
going
weren't
to ask me, why didn't you pause? I've actually seen it. It's a better student film at best.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's Joe Carnahan. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'd be entertained. Like it
He's
may not
in
change.
it. He's in it.
Yeah.
He's one of the stars.
So that's January 15th. That's a pretty loaded January.
Yeah, I can't believe Virus and In Dreams just didn't kill it.
Yeah, well, I mean, or each other. By the way, the one that would go on to make the most money that weekend would be Varsity Blues.
Shocker.
It was a hit.
It was a $54 million during its run. I mean, for a January release, pretty good.
It was a hit. Yeah. Next weekend.
Well, we get two midweek releases. Giving It Up, romantic comedy I've never heard of. I only made $5,000. And The Winners, another one, $5,508. Not a big hit. Then we get to January 22nd. And again, this is there. So I didn't look up the translation of this, but it made almost $2 million. So it has to be something that some people saw. It's an adventure film. The title, and again, as Chad has pointed out, I suck at pronouncing things, but it's Bachiha Ye Osman.
No idea.
So the other movies that came out, I'm going to do what I've been doing, go with the ones that made the lowest and work our way up.
Okay.
Pool Crime made so little money it didn't rank. Like it came out, but they didn't even track it. The other movie that came out that is what Chad is, Fame Whore.
Damn straight.
Buddy, you can't even give it away.
Tinseltown.
Funny in my head.
Tinseltown came out that weekend. Then Getting to Know You. My Name is Joe. Still Crazy. But the number one that came out January 22nd, which went on to make almost $5 million, Gloria.
Oh, is that the one with Gina Davis?
Yeah, it's no, not Gina Davis, Sharon Stone, isn't it?
Oh, is that the one by Sidney Lumet?
Lumet, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sidney, yeah.
Well, what's the one with Gina Davis that has it's also got like a one name, and she's doesn't matter. She's pregnant with James Gandolfini's baby, but she falls in love with back to Neil Jordan, that Irish actress in all of Neil Jordan's film. Oh, what's his name? Stephen.
I was gonna say Gloria may be, if I'm pretty sure it's Sidney Lumet. That's like my least favorite Sidney Lumet.
That is the least favorite Sidney Lumet. That's not. I don't know that that's much of an argument. Now I agree with you. That I've ever saw. I've seen most of them, I think, and I think
as have I.
And the Gloria one, that's Sharon Stone trying to do like a New York accent. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, she tries to play a tough New Yorker.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. And Sharon Stone, by the way, is a good actress. It's just she's just miscast in that.
All right. One weekend left in January that had films released. That would be January 29th. We get two films. One, The 24-Hour Woman with Rosie Perez.
Rosie Perez.
If you've never seen The 24-Hour Woman, it's about her trying to work in, I believe, a television producer, but also be a full-time mother, and how she juggles both of those. The 24-Hour Woman. The other movie is the one that most people actually have some remembrance or memory, or somehow I combine those to memories of She's All That. That is all she.
Oh my God. I may have seen it when it came out, and I just kept getting drunk and then would say, bitch ain't shit. That's my sequel. Making a sequel called A Bitch Ain't Shit.
I've actually watched that right now. Can you think you can get the cast back together?
I don't. I just remember it's stuck in my head now for 22 years. Half cocked going, bitch ain't shit. I'm going to make the sequel. All right.
All right. We're getting into February. Y'all ready? Actually, February has one of my favorite movies. The first week of February, February 5th, has one of my favorite movies. And I own both versions of it, and they're not at all alike. But I'll start with the lowest one that weekend. Making a total of $1,500, a comedy called Virtue. It doesn't seem overly funny. No,
I've never even heard of it.
Making $11,350. Pizzicati, Pizzicata, Pizzicata. No idea. Going up a little bit, dry cleaning. I don't know what it's about, folks, but it made $150,000.
Yeah, dry cleaning did go up a little this year. Thank you. Now, what was the movie, James?
And then
not as much as 2x4s.
We're
Keep
getting
going,
into the. By the way, I've got to look at repairing a fence.
I find it funny that I keep typing in these movies that James lists, and IMDb lists them as 1997 or 98.
Well, I was going to say, I'm glad
These have to be re-releases.
I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of them were released internationally and they were brought over during the January and February. I meant to say that earlier. Much like that TV, the Bergman TV movie got brought over. A lot of these were released other places first. You're absolutely right, Chad. Thank you.
Okay.
The Last Days, the documentary, made $500,000. No idea. But Simply Irresistible would go on to make $5 million.
I know the title, but I don't even remember who's in it.
Is that
all I know is a song? Simply Irresistible.
A magical. Hold on, I gotta read the description. It stars Sarah Michelle Gellar and Sean Patrick Flannery. A magic crab works wonders for a terrible chef's culinary skills, leading her towards the man of her dreams. What the?
So it's Ratatouille.
Every time I get magic crabs, they just call them crabs. And it's a problem. There's nothing magic about them.
How did this get greenlit?
I don't know.
The crab did it. That's how
crab.
And Joe, do you know who directed it?
Who?
I'm kind of curious if you know this name, Mark Tarlov.
No.
He used to do magic.
He produced Serial Mom, Christine, Cecil B. He produced all of a lot of John Waters films. Cecil B. DeMille, Pecker. But unfortunately, he also did produce Copycat and Joe's favorite spy movie, The Man Who Knew Too Little.
Is that Bill Murray's worst movie?
Oh, no.
What's his worst movie?
Hold on. Let me make a ton of people mad.
I'm trying to think of Larger Than Life.
I think Larger Than Life slightly more fun than The Man Who Knew Too Little.
I mean, The Man Who Knew Too Little is terrible.
They're both pretty bad.
One of the Garfield movies, probably.
Oh, God. I finally saw the sequel to that. My kid wanted to watch it.
I saw that with my father in a theater.
But yeah, The Man Who Knew Too Little is up there, but I don't know if it's his worst film.
All right. What's next?
The number one movie that would go on to make $161 million, and I've got both versions of it, Payback. I like Payback.
Oh, I love Payback, man.
But that's an interesting story about a movie that was taken away from a director and recut and reshot correctly.
And
right?
they are, and they're two different movies. They really are. I own both of them. They're both over here on the shelf. It's two very different movies.
But people seem to, that's one of those movies that went on to be successful that should have been a train wreck. And are both versions entertaining?
I think I've only seen the studio version, and man, I loved it.
The studio version has more comedy.
Yeah.
And it's much more upbeat.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't seen the director's cut or whatever they called it when they released it, I bought both. I bought it because I love Payback.
I do too. I really do, James. I'm right there with you, man.
It's got a lot of one-liners in it that I really like. Or actually, the scene where, and who's the actor, the older actor? Mel Gibson shoots his luggage.
Oh, it's shit.
Come on.
William Devane.
Not Greg. Oh, damn it.
It's not William Devane. Chris Christopherson.
No,
it's the other one. You're naming everyone but him.
You're not naming the oldest dude in the room.
It's not David Paymer, is it?
No.
Oh, it is.
I've lost me then.
Oh, what's his name? He's also in the original. So all those Get Carter, they're all based on that book. Oh, what's that guy's name? They wrote all the books. Palmer. Jason Statham was the first one to actually use the name Palmer, even though they're all those.
Richard Stark is it's Donald Westlake, but he wrote him as Richard Stark.
Richard Stark, yeah.
I know the scene you're talking about where he has to hold the suitcases up, but I'm blanking on the. And it's oh man,
God, he's also in Maverick.
But he shoots the luggage, and the guy just goes, "Oh, come on, man, that's just mean."
I'm going to beat the crap out of me that I couldn't say James Coburn.
Thank you, James Coburn.
Oh God, yeah. Why couldn't I say James Coburn?
But anyway, so if you watch that, it's a fun action movie. The director's cut is much closer, from what I've been told, to the book. It is not like, spoiler, I guess. If you watch the theatrical, at the end of it, they get in the car and he basically said, over narration, he says, "She promised she'd give up hooking and I'd give up killing people. Maybe we aimed a little high." And that movie ends. They're together. The director's cut ends with him shot up, passing out. He's leaning against a post and they beat him, but he's killed them. And it's literally him passing out as he bleeds.
So real quick, it's written and directed by Brian Helgeland, and you may know that because he has a hit or miss as far as his directing goes. But for a screenwriter, he won an Academy Award for
L.A. Confidential.
L.A. Confidential. Actually, I thought he won it for Mystic River, but maybe I was wrong.
Oh, he may have won for Mystic River, man. You're right.
But he's a fantastic screenwriter. He wrote Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Well, wrote a draft before that, but he directed A Knight's Tale for you all out there. He also directed 42, which I like 42 very much, and then he directed Legend, which is a uneven movie. So he has a storied past as a screenwriter, but as a director, it's probably hit or miss. But that is one, Payback. I think that's his first big budget directing film. Yeah, it was. All he directed before that was a Small Tales from the Crypt.
Man, I love.
And by the way, James Coburn, according to IMDb,
James.
Go ahead. According to IMDb, James Coburn actually didn't take credit because he's actually in the one with in the original.
Yeah,
because there's so many of those movies.
And James, I didn't realize we both had a that much of a love for Payback, because I do. I love that film.
I've got both versions. If you want to borrow the director's cut sometime,
I do. So yeah, I will borrow that from you. And by the way, this is completely off topic about 1999. Joe, did you see what Brian Helgeland's currently working on?
No, I did, but I was trying to remember.
The
Point
Wild
Blank.
Bunch.
Oh yeah,
directed by Mel Gibson.
I did not know this. That's who needs to do it.
Yeah. It's going to be violent as hell.
Mel Gibson is a fine filmmaker.
He is. Let's
take everything, remove everything
out.
I was thinking Clint Eastwood's birthday was yesterday, and I was thinking, I'm not saying Clint Eastwood said some shit like Mel Gibson did, but I think Clint, for some odd reason, Clint gets away with a lot more than other people don't.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but I was shocked by I didn't know they were even remaking The Wild Bunch, just like I didn't know there was a Dirty Works 2 coming.
What? There's a Dirty Works 2 coming?
There is a Dirty Works 2 coming. I was listening to Kevin Hart's podcast where he was interviewing Bob Saget. They are currently working on it. Oh my God. Had no idea.
I love that movie. It's a guilty pleasure movie, but
dude, right here, same.
But anyway, he played him. James Coburn played the character in Point Blank. I've been trying to say it for like 5 minutes. I just for a history lesson of everyone. If you ever get a chance to watch Point Blank, it's another one based on Richard Stark novels. For some odd reason, they always change the name of him. And that one, he's Walker, but it's Parker. And then there's so many. Check that one out. In that one, the villain is played by Carol O'Connor. Have you guys ever seen it? It has some of the same. If you like those movies, you will like the humor. If it's the same kind of humor. Yeah.
All right, James, let's keep
next?
going, buddy.
All right. So Payback was the big February 5th, went on to make $161 million. We get to February 12th, 1 week later. The lowest grossing movie I actually know a little bit about, if I'm thinking of the right one. Party Monster.
Macaulay Culkin?
Macaulay Culkin. That was the lowest grossing movie that came out that weekend. Followed by,
if I'm not mistaken, that was supposed to be his big return to acting.
Yeah. Followed by a movie that went on to make $52,000. God Said Ha.
Oh, is that about her count? I can't. It's a one woman show. What's her face? Talking about her cancer.
Okay. I'm glad you do, because I didn't look it up.
Guys, we got to correct ourselves. The Party Monster is actually the documentary based on that is about the true story of that movie. That movie didn't come out till 2003.
Okay. Cool.
And it's one of those ones like It's the movie with Macaulay Culkin was actually directed by the documentary maker too as well. So there you go. I knew that didn't sound right to me that it came out in 1999, but go ahead.
Okay, so God Said Ha, and then doing it in order.
Julie Kavner. Julie Kavner's one lady show about her cancer is called God Said Ha. Sorry.
Oh, that's good. I said that helps. So by the way, 8 movies came out this weekend. So Party Monster, God Said Ha, and then we get into Unconditional Love, the action movie. I don't know.
Just let's roll through the ones we don't know.
Then Wind Horse, which I believe is a kids film, right?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Who knows? And let's see. Then we go up to Tango, a drama. Then these 3 movies all made money this weekend. Blast from the Past.
Yeah.
With Christopher Walken.
Starring Christopher Walken. Only Christopher Walken in that picture.
He plays all roles.
Alicia Silverstone and Christopher Walken will play all the roles. Not Brendan Fraser.
My Favorite Martian.
Oh my God.
How bad is it? I've actually only seen bits and pieces.
I haven't got all the way through it. So,
and the number 1 movie, which is a movie that quite frankly I forgot existed, Message in a Bottle.
With Kevin Costner?
Yeah, Kevin Costner.
I've never seen it.
It's, by the way, I didn't realize it's probably where this Nicholas Sparks thing started. 1999 led to The Notebook.
Well, how else are you going to spend your nights in Rodantha? I've actually never seen Message in a Bottle. I've seen The Notebook and I've seen Nights in Rodantha. I've never really read any of the novels by Nicholas Sparks.
But you're right. It's Kevin Costner, Robin Wright, Paul Newman.
Has anybody seen it?
No.
Next weekend.
No, Nicholas Sparks. He do that one with the guy from Twilight and who's actually becoming a good actor now.
I don't think he was
the new Batman.
Actor.
Yeah, the new Batman. Never mind.
Pattinson.
Yeah, he wrote it. It was in a movie where the big twist ending at the end is that he's standing in the Twin Towers at 9/11. I'm like, you suck.
I've never seen it. Go ahead.
Anyway, that Message in a Bottle was a big movie that weekend. Moving on to February 19th, I saw one of these films in theaters, and I'll let you guess which one. I was one of 2 people in the theater. The lowest earning was a movie called Sib, which is a drama.
Mm-hmm.
The next lowest earning was Jawbreaker. White comedy.
Some people love that movie still. I didn't care for it then, and I doubt that I'd care for it now. But that's one of those that actually has a slight cult following.
Office Space was went on to make $12 million. And the one that actually a lot of people love, and I respect it, October Sky.
I haven't seen it in a long time. Yeah. It's based on a true story, right? But the guy went on to work on the rocket, whatever. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So we jump forward. Couple independent films. Such a Long Journey came out on a Thursday instead of a Friday. On Friday, February 26th, there is a dump of movies, and I'm saying that because there's just so many of them.
By the way, the movie I referenced about 9/11 was not Nicholas Sparks. Continue.
Okay, well,
I was about to say I didn't know he wrote that.
Yeah,
I just thought he wrote books.
Lowest for the weekend of February 26th, 8 days a week, made $26,000. Then we get Historias de Hivir. I don't know, it's some international film. Just the Ticket made $500,000. Let's see, 20 Dates was a comedy, made $602,000. Wolves, which is a documentary, I assume about fish. And then going for School of Flesh, the School of Flesh, made $3.5 million. Getting into movies people may know, 200 Cigarettes. I actually did see
another cult film.
Yeah. And then we get to The Other Sister, the romantic comedy.
Oh, is that the one with the mentally handicapped?
Yeah, Juliette Lewis and Giovanna Ribisi.
Oh, I remember that one. Oh,
that one is awkward.
That one would not play today.
It didn't play then.
Oh, that would land about as well as Soul Man.
And that is Gary, and that is Joe's favorite director, Gary Marshall.
Oh God. Gary Marshall's amazing. I just don't care for most of his movies.
And I love Juliette Lewis, and I really love Juliette Lewis and Giovanni Ribisi. They're two of my favorite actors. And man, how they agreed to do that movie is beyond me. It even had Diane Keaton and Tom Skerritt, for God's sakes, and Sarah Paulson.
Well, let's. I like Tom Skerritt, but let's give credit where credit's due. He's in Poltergeist 3.
That's true.
He's cashed some checks.
And I don't know what Hector Elizondo was thinking.
I would too.
In all fairness, yeah, I was about to say, literally, somebody goes, "We want to make Bonehead the movie." Now, it's not going to involve anything you all normally do. It's going to be about whales, but we'll give you.
I've already got it. I got like a third of the plot. I really want to do it as a Christmas movie. Keep going.
So we also get Babar, King of the Elephants.
Babar.
Encounter in the Third Dimension. And another movie I love that so many people hate, 8mm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm right there. I love the 8mm.
I don't love it.
I enjoy it.
To me, it's a gritty, odd film. What's funny is I watched it with a group of people, and they walked out and they said, "We all feel dirty." And I'm like, "I don't." And they were like, "What do you mean you don't?" I'm like, "I don't feel dirty. I've never done anything that's in that film. What have y'all been watching that you all feel bad?"
I get it. There's a few movies that have done that to me. Crash, David Cronenberg's Crash will make you feel slightly just cringy. And anything by Greg Araki, who was a filmmaker in the 90s.
Yeah.
Totally fucked up. What's the other one where everything's 666? That's the one I saw. I can't remember. It was the first movie Rose McGowan was in.
Oh, Generation X.
Yeah.
The
Doom Generation. The Doom Generation.
Oh God, that the hand and the licking and
the Doom Generation will give you a little bit of the creep. I remember that coming out in the 90s, and I was such a cinephile, more than I am today. And I thought I would not let Greg Araki in my room.
No, yeah, I watched that alone.
He's already there. He's already
there. He may be a nice guy. I don't know. So what's the next? Go ahead.
I watched
Araki.
I watched the Doom Generation with a friend in a high school.
Well, yeah.
We were in class and we had nothing to do, so we watched the Doom Generation. And afterwards, I'm like, "Why did you show me this?"
The question is, what kind of high school were you in where that was available?
You all know my level of intelligence.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with it. All right, James, what's the next weekend?
James, real quick, I tried to look up that one James mentioned, Encounters in the Third Dimension. And all I got was Robbie the Reindeer and Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Well, that's a much better movie and a much better title.
So 8mm was the big hit. It went on to make $97 million, which was pretty good considering.
Damn, that is pretty good for 1999.
I didn't realize it made that much money.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're still in the kind of peak Cage era too, right? Cage and Joaquin Phoenix both. So we get into March now. And I didn't know all these movies came out against each other. I saw one of them in theater, and it's not the one that it's not in the top 2 that came out this weekend. March 5th, we get 6 Ways to Sunday, Dance Maker, Lock, Stock, and 2 Smoking Barrels, Cruel Intentions, but the number 1 movie at the box office. Analyze This.
Well, Analyze This was a humongous. You've never seen it?
I know. I've seen it since. I did not see it in theater. I preferred to go see Mickey Blue Eyes, sir.
That's sad. I saw
James. Seriously?
I saw Analyze This, and
the story about how and why I saw Mickey Blue Eyes, but I'll tell you another time.
Analyze This actually, it was a really good comedy.
It was.
I haven't seen it in a long time. Don't watch the sequel.
No, Analyze that.
Everybody cashed a check on that one, but the first one's pretty good. And I guess that was Harold Ramis's last big, huge movie, right? That he directed. I mean, there would be a couple of movies after that, but I think that was his last huge blockbuster.
Yeah, because the Ice Harvest, even though
I like the Ice Harvest. Yeah, he may have made a better movie, but that was his last big one. Oh, and getting back to changing things, Lock, Stock, and 2 Smoking Barrels. What are you guys going to call that? That's that launched the career of two people, Guy Ritchie and the guy that produced it, who went on to become a fantastic director that I can't remember his name now.
Well, didn't it kind of also give us Jason Statham?
It gave us Jason Statham. Nobody over here on the other side of the pond knew that. It's a lot like like a hyped up British version of Pulp Fiction in a sense of
it's a black comedy.
Yeah,
it's more of a comedy than Pulp Fiction. Not that Pulp Fiction.
I agree. It's more of a comedy.
It's more of a comedy, but I love. Well, and it has an entire scene where they have to translate from Cockney. Yeah, he gave me the ping pong tiddly, and you're just like, well, yeah. And I remember watching it. I caught it in theaters somehow, and then not really being. I obviously got it. Enjoyed it, but then watching it again at home and being able to actually go, oh, okay, yeah, I guess kind of piecing together how everything fits together, because it really is much like Pulp Fiction. It's 3 or 4 different stories, but then they interact.
Yeah.
I tried to show it to my father, who hated it because he goes, they use a lot of language. By the way, if you know anything about my father, he was fine if you killed somebody on screen every 3 seconds. That was fine. But language was major.
That's also gave us Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones, that's true, and I love that.
Tony.
And we would.
Well, that was his character in Snatch.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, and we would see them work together again in Snatch. And I know Guy Ritchie just did a Jason Statham film that just came out, and I hope it's half as good as Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Or
I don't think Wrath of Man is. I don't know. By the way, I want to go back real quick. You mentioned we kind of bypassed Six Ways to Sunday, and I looked it up. I kind of want to see this movie. It's actually got a pretty high rating, and it has an amazing cast: Norman Reedus, Adrian Brody, Debbie Harry, Isaac Hayes, Jerry Adler, Vincent Pastore, Clark Gregg, and Paul Lazar. I mean,
Jerry Adler.
I mean, it's got
a lot of money.
It's got an insane cast. And the director, he is mostly Adam Bernstein. He is mostly known for TV, but he did direct House of Buggin, so he automatically gets a pass from me.
House of Buggins.
James, let's keep going, buddy.
Not to be confused with the House of Buggins. March 12th, gentlemen. Another movie where we just had, another weekend where we had a dump of movies. Going through these quickly. Lowest Earner, the comedy with Friends Like These. I say that often. Harvest. And then we get The Harmonists. Wildfire, Feel the Heat. Let's see. I want to do these in order. So okay. We're getting into movies people may have heard of. Wing Commander.
Yeah.
God. That is a terrible movie.
I've talked about how the video game I loved, and I don't see how you can do the video game with Mark Hamill, do it live action for FMV scenes, and not do that in the movie. But anyway.
Real quick about, why there was a ton of people who went no, it wasn't Wing Commander. It was another one. Sorry, keep going.
Wing Commander was the lowest earning and went on to make $11 million. It was beat out by The Deep End of the Ocean. Anybody? I don't know.
Is that with Treat Williams?
It's
somebody
a drama.
dies. I think a kid dies. I think Treat Williams is in that. I can't remember. It's of Michelle Pfeiffer and Treat Williams, maybe.
You're right, Joe. Got it.
About the death of their kid.
The action film that beat it went on to make $15 million. The Corruptor.
No, I don't remember that one, oddly enough.
The horror film, The Rage, Carrie 2.
Oh, I saw that in the theater. That's a terrible movie. Except the last shot of that's really cool with the cracked mirror, and that's all I remember. That's a bad movie.
I actually like The Corruptor. It was a Chow Yun-Fat movie with Mark Wahlberg.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it did okay. He lost out to The Rage, Carrie 2, but the Rage lost out to what we can all agree is a movie that defined the gestalt of 90s cinema. Baby Geniuses was the top earning this weekend. Went on to make $27 million and spawned, I think, 2 sequels.
Baby Geniuses.
I know one sequel. It's directed by Bob Clark.
Yeah. Baby Geniuses beat out The Corruptor. By the way, Joe, The Corruptor was directed by James Foley.
Oh, I've never seen it.
I remember really, really enjoying it, but I'm a huge Chow Yun-Fat film fanatic. So,
well, that and Marky Mark.
Can't go wrong.
I can't believe Mark Wahlberg is still a star. Anyway, keep going.
Who knew, right?
I don't shit. I don't
get it.
I don't. To me, he has no charisma, but obviously, I have no charisma. So who am I to start shitting on Mark Wahlberg?
Well, maybe if you start doing,
I like him in Ted. I like him doing comedies. Well, you know what? He's in one of my favorite action comedies. What's the one with him as the assassin from the 90s?
Oh, The Big Hit.
The Big Hit. Okay, so Mark Wahlberg is great in comedy. Big Hit and Ted.
And Spencer Confidential was okay.
Never saw it.
So you all ready? You ready?
Yeah,
let's keep going.
March 19th.
We're already going to have to split this up into 2 episodes.
Yeah.
March 19th, folks, we get another dump of movies. About 8 movies came out this weekend. I'll start with the lowest. Sparkler. Anyway, okay.
I bought some last year. They didn't work.
Burn your damn fingers off.
Michaud and Zihan. I don't know what that's about. Then our next one is, let me make sure. The Empty Mirror. The Empty Mirror.
I don't know that one.
Ravenous.
Ah,
That's
another cult film.
It only made $2 million in theaters, so
that's because no one watched it.
It's got a great set. Thanks you, Joe. That theaters, box office income works. Thank you. It's got a great soundtrack.
Well, about 3 or 4 million people at least watched it.
The King and I was released there, and then you get True Crime.
Is that the Clint Eastwood one?
Yes, which is
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I have seen it. If it's the one with is it Clint Eastwood and Kevin and
Jeff Daniels?
No, that's Blood.
That's Blood Work.
What I was saying is it.
This is Kevin the one Costner? With Dennis Leary.
Oh, what's the one with Kevin Costner? Where he takes
That's A Perfect World.
Perfect World. I'm sorry, I confused it.
The hell do I know all these?
I don't know. But anyway, I'm
pretty sure True Crime is the one with Dennis Leary.
Made $16 million. It gets beat by the romantic comedy Forces of Nature.
Oh, boo! That's
told you. Huge. We must be in March 21st. You're getting close.
19th, March 19th.
Yeah, that would be. The reason is I read some meme or something. It's like whatever came out, and I looked it up as Forces of Nature. I was like, son of a bitch.
All right, we're to March 26th.
We're getting close to one of those epic films.
Oh yeah, this is a big week. This is a big.
I don't know if you can get more epic than The Corruptor.
You mean Forces of Nature?
This is a pretty big weekend.
No, actually, I saw Forces of Nature in the theater.
This is a pretty big weekend in its own right. March 26th, you get Meeting People is Easy. It's a documentary. Among Giants, a romantic comedy that nobody saw. And then you get A Walk on the Moon drama.
Mm-hmm.
The Mod Squad.
Ooh, I never saw that either. I never ever watched it.
It's not good.
Somebody rented it and I watched it, but I can't tell you anything about it anymore. Doug's first movie, so a Nicktoons movie there, went on to make $19 million. But a movie that some people actually name as a movie that was a pretty big hit that nobody talks about anymore, Ed TV.
That wasn't a big hit. They didn't do. It's one of the Ron Howard's failures, but that and the Truman Show. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
All right.
But I didn't realize. I thought Ed TV came out after the Truman Show.
I really did. I thought it came out after too. I thought it was.
Clearly, it didn't. It came and went before.
Wow.
And then we get to March 31st, which is only 5 days later, but they released 3 films on March 31st after that March 26th glut. Those 3 films would be the action film, The Underground, which was the one that we all remember from that weekend. But then the film 10 Things I Hate About You, which I did see in the theater.
I did too, and enjoyed it.
I did too.
Yeah.
So it's a well-made film.
It is.
Actually, on the soundtrack.
It's very well acted, very well. It's got a great cast. It's very well acted.
Yep. But this other film that nobody ever heard of again called The Matrix happened to also come out. I don't know.
Well, let's pause for a second. The Matrix blew everybody's mind.
I am really shocked. I thought Wing Commander came out after The Matrix because the Wing Commander just pretty much ripped off all the Matrix's effects. So I thought, well, okay.
Well, the difference is The Matrix does it well.
Yes.
Yeah, and what I mean, and I don't mean that negatively. Well, I do mean it negatively.
Yeah.
I guess if you're a huge Wing Commander fan, but if you
let the
Wing
fan
Commander,
decide.
Yeah, if there's a fan of the Wing Commander, that listens to this show, please let us know so we can make fun of you.
Now, if you're a fan of the game, I will defend you because the games were good. I will defend the Wing Commander games.
Okay.
Mark Hamill, et cetera, et cetera. That being said, think about the scene. The scene I remember from Wing Commander where they do that stop bullet time thing.
Yeah.
What is he doing? He's falling backwards in a chair. There's nothing cool about that. Like, oh, look, watch this guy fall backwards in a chair in bullet time. Nobody cares. Matrix did it so well.
That's where let's take a pause. I mean, I walked out of that thinking I'd saw new cinema. And what I mean by that was it was a revolutionary. It's chop suey. We talked about that for Glenn's show in the sense of I'm going to
chop sake.
I'm going to change the definition for me a little bit because I was familiar with all of the different ingredients, but it's the same thing with Tarantino. I'd never been familiar with that recipe. And I'm sorry, this is a terrible metaphor, but I mean, we saw these Hong Kong wire work films. We saw this, but it all came together into this beautiful, just great. I'm trying to think of it's hard for me because it blew my mind. It kind of blew my mind at the time.
Well, I was going to say, I will agree with you. I think that's one of the things about the Matrix. Like, I grew up, William Gibson, Cyberpunk, all that,
Yeah, it's all in there, right?
It's there, and we had seen movies heck, quite frankly, Johnny Mnemonic starred Keanu Reeves. They had tried to do something like that there, and it just didn't work.
Strange Days.
What we finally got in the Matrix was somebody took this exists in literature.
Yep.
And now, either through technology or better casting, and I'm not knocking the cast of those films, other films, all of that stuff. Now we can fuse it together and we've got something.
Yeah, we got Free Jack done right.
But we had bullet time. We had all what we would consider fantastic Asian wire work that they'd use in movies that hadn't really been incorporated into this plot that was revolutionary. And don't think about it too much because it starts to just kind of slip away the more you pick at it.
But I think the reason that's
so different.
Well, and I think the reason it still works, though, even when you pick at it, is Joey Pants. Yeah. Which, by the way, I was going to say the other day, I saw online Robert Picardo was hanging out with Joey Pants, and they were walking in a national park. And I was like, oh, my God, how cool is that?
Joey Pantoliano,
yeah.
Joey Pants for his friends.
Well, I'm not us. I'm not, but I don't think he'll see this. So I'm going to, anyway, no. But even when you pick at, there's that great scene with him. And spoiler, if you've never seen The Matrix, he's going to turncoat. He's going to turn the humans in. And he has that great scene where he says, I know this isn't real, but it tastes real. And that's all I care about.
Yeah, he wants the reality. And he would have been in Bound. He was in the Wachowskis' first movie, Bound. So he's the one holdover into that part.
So, yeah, The Matrix. I mean, it was huge.
Let's talk about another thing that The Matrix did, and I'm trying to look it up because I didn't realize. I forgot this came out in 1999, and I'm pretty sure this is true. But the other impact The Matrix had on cinema is it increased the amount of DVD sales.
Oh yeah,
DVD player sales, because when The Matrix came out, the DVD was still in its infancy.
Yes,
and then all of a sudden, The Matrix came out, and you would go into stores. And that would be playing on every monitor saying, look what a DVD player can do.
And the special
versus
features.
A VHS. And plus the special features.
And the
everything about it. Even the chapters list, everything.
You would see those people with a slow where they take away the elements of the bullet time when there was, pause down.
So if it hadn't been for The Matrix, granted, we would not still be in VHS tip, but it definitely sped up that process of going, why do I want to get rid of my VHS player? Holy shit, this is what this new technology can do.
He's absolutely right. So, I mean, I had a DVD player probably earlier than most of the people I knew, but you're absolutely right. It was just, it was everywhere and everyone had a copy. Right?
Yeah.
Sure enough, it does. They're the first article, how The Matrix was pivotal to take up the DVD format. So yeah, it increased sales greatly. So yeah, it came out at the right time for every reason.
It's definitely a revolutionary film. I think one of the problems and Tarantino talked about this, when The Matrix Reloaded was coming out, it was coming out the same time as Kill Bill. And he was worried about it because he loved The Matrix. And he was worried about his action film going up against this one. And then he saw Matrix Reloaded and he walked out, was like, hey, ain't got shit on me. And in a sense, he was right. I mean, Kill Bill is a better film, and the sequels do let you down a little bit. And his argument was that's one of the few occasions where the sequels actually kind of diminish the original. I don't know that I completely agree with that, because I still, like we've said before, Stephen King, the originals are over there on the shelf, but it doesn't build that world in a better way.
No, but it doesn't Highlander to it either.
No, they're not awful, and they're fun, and the Matrix Reloaded has that great freeway chase scene with the two twins. I mean, there's some great stuff in those, and that was one of the first movies I ever saw where Matrix Revelations, whatever the last one.
Yeah.
Where I said, oh, that's what a mech warrior fight battle suit should look like.
Yeah.
This is I want to quote, I'm sorry to keep hammering this in, but this is a quote from Variety about the Matrix DVD sales. The DVD's performance signals that studios can generate considerable profits and sales by releasing a DVD title day and date with its VHS rental counterpart. So the Matrix ad had a huge impact.
All right. So
Next
do we want April 2nd? So that was March 31st. April 2nd, we get 4 movies. They don't do well. But
because they were still competing against the Matrix.
Here's the 4 movies. Some of them played pretty well against it, but following only made $240,000. The Dream Life of Angels.
Never heard of it.
$1,700,000. Then you get Cookie's Fortune.
I like Cookie's Fortune.
Now, is that the one with what? Columbo?
I thought
Peter Falk.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I am sorry, I was wrong. It does have an all-star cast of. It's directed by Robert Altman, Glenn Close, Julianne Moore, Liv Tyler, Chris O'Donnell, Charles S.
I've never seen it then.
Ned Beatty. Yeah, it's a great film. It's all about this very small town, and an old woman's death causes a variety of reactions across the town. So it's all about this town dealing with this one woman, Cookie's death. It's a great film, especially because it's one of those slice of life Robert Altman films that I always love.
And then the one that did go on to do okay, but not great, making $28 million during its run, The Out of Towners, Steve Martin, Goldie Hawn, and John Cleese. It's a remake.
Yeah.
Neil Simon. All right.
That's right up there with what is the other one? House Sitters.
House Sitter. Ooh.
I preferred the Sinbad version of House Sitter.
It may be better. I don't know, but it may be better.
I don't remember the other one. I do remember the Sinbad version though. Anyway, April 9th. Metroland. Anybody? No. Okay.
Metroland.
Then we get Foolish, the comedy. Foolish. Anybody?
Nope.
Nobody remembers Foolish?
No.
I had a friend that loved it. I can't remember anything about it off the top of my head, but I figured one of you would be like, oh, Foolish.
No.
And take it. And now nobody did, and I feel foolish. Foolish, by the way, for those of you that are hip to the scene, would have been Dave Meyers directing Master P and Eddie Griffin.
Yeah, I'm good. What else you got?
Sorry, I was trying to be culturally aware. Anyway, that made $6 million, but it did not make as much money as Go.
Nah, that's another one. It was right up there with 200 Cigarettes, right?
Black comedy, yep. It's another
still rolling. It's still rolling on from Pulp Fiction, and
it's one of those crazy ensemble casts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doug Liman. Wow.
Mm-hmm. That was his follow-up to Swingers.
And then we get the movie that I know Joe probably saw multiple times in theaters, Never Been Kissed.
Oh, it did not.
Lord.
Made over $55 million.
Yeah, it was a hit. Yeah.
So we got She's All That and Never Been Kissed in 1 year.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
And they would not greenlight bitch ain't shit.
Oh.
You heard me. I'll say it again. next weekend, James. Never been kissed.
And by the way, if there's ever a reason to have a female on the show with us, this is one of those.
I agree.
9 movies drop on April 16th. Let's see.
I didn't realize Never Been Kissed was directed by Raja Noswell. Cosnwell.
Yeah, I mean, if it was Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo. Anyway, April 16th, they dropped 9 movies. Now, Matrix is still plowing on. Keep that in mind. The 9 movies, some of them don't do well, not shockingly. They are Clubland.
Yeah.
Gene and the Perfect Guy. The Joyriders. Let's see. An international film again. I'm sorry. It's Shishila's Hayakar.
No idea.
And I want to pause about one because I only made $300,000, but I'm pretty sure this is has a cult following, I should say. It only made $300,000 in theaters, but SLC Punk, if I'm not mistaken, that would be Matthew Lillard.
Yep.
And oh shoot, who else? I forget who else is in that. But
it's Matthew Lillard and Annabeth Gish, Christopher McDonald's in it, Devin Sawyer, Jason Segel's even in it.
Yeah, Jason.
I saw it, and it has a cult following now, and for the life of me, I don't get it.
Well, basically, isn't it about 2 punks who are the only punks in their small town?
Yeah, in the conservative Salt Lake City.
Yep.
The reason you don't like it is because Matthew Lillard stole that microphone from you.
That doesn't have anything to do with it. I keep going back because Matthew Lillard's one of those actors I should like, and then I keep reviewing his history of films. I don't like him in anything.
I love him in things. I don't know how you could hate.
I never have.
He's good at
Joe
13
makes that
Ghosts.
joke about the fact that he got pissed at me.
Yeah. Did he say
I don't think that was a joke.
13 Ghosts.
I don't think that was a joke.
Oh no, he was pissed at me.
I think it's a good story.
Yeah, he was legitimately pissed at me. Yeah, I don't give a shit. But no, it has nothing to do with that.
Him and Skeeter were drunk.
I take that back. I take that back. I like Senseless.
All right.
I like Matthew Lillard in certain parts. I mean, obviously he's been very good for Scooby-Doo, but I like him in 13 Ghosts and a few things, but no, I don't. And in Scream. Yeah, Scream is one of those movies that's perfectly cast.
Yeah.
So anyway, other movies that came out that weekend, Friends and Lovers. Not to be confused with
I'm more interested in Friends.
Not to be confused with Goodbye Lover, which also came out. But which made almost $2 million, but making almost or 2.5 times that, I'm sorry, Hideous Kinky.
No idea.
I've heard the title, but I can't tell you what it's about. That being said, probably the movie that did make some money that people do know, made $73 million, Life with Eddie Murphy.
I saw that in theater then. I must have been going in Moorhead. Must have been seeing a lot of these at the Dollar or at the Friday night free.
Yeah.
At the University Cinema. So if you went to Moorhead State University, not that anybody's going to know this, back in the day on Friday night, there was a one cinema, one theater,
one screen,
and you got in for free on Friday night with a Moorhead ID.
Okay, so now we're to April 23rd. This is another weird weekend, man. I'll just start. No. Anybody?
Yes.
Okay, no. La Cucaracha. No. Okay. Tor Truffaut. No.
Yeah.
The Mighty Peking Man, as in Peking, the location.
No,
all right. The movies that people might remember would be Existence.
Yeah.
I struggled.
I'm sorry. No, it's fine. I think I might have accidentally watched that with Chad.
By the way, I looked up The Mighty Peking Man. I don't know which one I'm looking at because it says The Mighty Peking Man came out in 1977.
This is a horror film. So
well, it got lost. The boat got lost on the way over. They finally made it. They had the one print. And
this isn't the same one. King Kong goes Hong Kong as a giant Himalayan beast tries to save sexy Russian Tarzanette from a sleazy showbiz promoter.
I don't know.
I want to see that picture.
Say, let's at the Halloween. We need to be watching that film.
The Mighty P. King, man. And guys, you all need to see the poster. It is everything that description said it.
That sounds awesome.
Man. Why are we not making these films?
Because nobody pays money anymore for movies.
Oh, that's true.
Unless they have a superhero or they're animated kids films.
Well, isn't the Mighty P. King, man, enough of a hero for you people?
Not according to Marvel.
I tell you. Oh, that is a pretty epic poster. You're right, Chad.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Anyway, Mighty P. King, man, existence. Yes, thank you. I keep putting the emphasis on the wrong place.
It's kind of Cronenberg. It's kind of a semi, not really follow up to Videodrome, and has a lot of the same kind of. What am I trying to say? What's the word?
It's also another play. It's kind of Matrix-esque, but not really.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that Cronenberg had seen Matrix and was stealing. I think it was just probably the flavor in the water, just what was going on in the water at the time. But that's got Jennifer Jason Leigh in it. It's not a terrible movie.
No,
if you love Cronenberg, check it out. I'd actually recommend Videodrome over it though.
So I wanted to bring that up though, because you're right. I wanted you to talk about that because there is something in the water. Because obviously the Matrix had just came out. This had already been done. We're going to see that happen again in a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It could be directed by Kurt Wimmer.
But that only made about $3 million. It was beat out by the romantic comedy Lost and Found. Lost and Found. Anybody? Lost
no.
And Found?
Oh my God!
Is that the one? No, I'm trying to think if I know which one it is.
If it's not the truth about cats and dogs, it ain't shit.
Does it have a different name, James? Because Lost and Found is not showing up.
Well, we know what happened. It wasn't the second part. They got the Lost down.
Yeah.
What?
Anyway, let's move on.
What's the next movie?
Yeah, sorry. I should have looked at Lost and Found up because I thought it's Election. I didn't realize Election did this well. It made $18 million.
I don't remember it doing that well either. So that's directed by Alexander. I can never remember his name. Alexander Payne. That was his follow-up to Citizen Ruth, correct?
Yep.
I saw Citizen Ruth and I saw Election. Actually, I liked Citizen Ruth slightly better than Election.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, good.
That's just my opinion. I don't really have a lot. I mean, Election is a really important movie to a lot of people, but I like other Alexander Payne films. My favorite one's Sideways.
There was a mid week release after this week. I wanted to talk about.
By the way,
it did not make any money.
My favorite's Nebraska. Go ahead.
Oh, Nebraska's good.
There was
Nebraska's good.
Yeah. I was going to say it, but
I have a special place in my heart for Sideways.
There was a midweek release of the one I wanted to mention in passing. Nobody saw it. It did not make a lot of money, but I want to mention it because I got to see it live later on, and it was never the same show. Al Holbrook's Mark Twain Tonight got a theatrical release. They filmed one of his performances and released it midweek. Did not make money.
Is that where he forgot his lines on stage?
What?
I don't know.
Hey guys, I'm having a little bit of an internet connection problem. Let me pause real quick and see if I can get.
Oh, it's because I was typing in the and not the symbol for and.
That's it. That's how I figured out that too. Yeah. So anyway, what you were wondering what you came back into the middle of, since nothing really changed. Lost and Found was the David Spade movie. That's what we were having difficulties with.
Oh, okay.
And the only reason I watched it is because I had a crush on Sophie Marceau at the time.
I thought he was going to say I had a crush on Artie Lang at the time.
I do have a crush on Artie Lang, though.
See, I'm more of a David Spade guy. Like, I know he's going to talk down to me, but I kind of enjoy it.
I like David Spade. I like his stand-up.
I do too. I like David
also,
Spade.
You like to be spit on and called.
Should I come over there? We make out, James?
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
All right, I'm on my way.
Once again, you have to talk down to me. That's the only way I know how to do anything. All right, so we're to April 30th. And again, people, they dumped a ton of movies. It's just amazing. I'm just going to try again, starting from the bottom. Heaven failed at the box office. It was a thriller, suspense movie. Heaven did not do well. Made less than $10,000. So we move from Heaven to, sorry, I'm putting my hand here to keep myself straight because there's so many movies that dumped this weekend. We get The King of Masks, which is a drama. We get Relax, It's Just Sex, which nobody ever says to me. Safarosh, never heard of it. And Edge of 17, the comedy.
I remember the name, but I don't remember the movie.
I don't either. We also get Real, the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
We get Joe.
By the way, the Edge of 17 is not the Edge of 17 you're thinking of. This was the one about a teenage coach with his sexuality on the last day of school in 1984.
Totally what I was thinking of.
We get 3 Seasons, the drama. We get The Winslow Boy, the drama, which I assume is about one of those Winslows.
It's about Michael Winslow.
Oh, well, I was saying Family Matters. Wasn't that the Winslow family?
Oh, I'm see it.
You're no Michael Winslow.
We get Island of Sharks, which was a documentary about sharks that went on to make $11 million. It's pretty impressive for a documentary. Did I mention Joe's favorite movie, Idle Hands, came out that weekend?
Oh, I saw that in the theater that weekend. I think I was on a date, and that movie somehow or another, over time, I haven't seen it. Actually, I don't think I've seen it since the night it came out. Has gotten somewhat of a little bit. Most horror films do, though. They kind of stick around forever. Is that Devin Sawa in that?
Yeah. And Seth Green. I saw it on a date too, and that's the reason I can't watch that or Ransom.
I don't remember the date, but I remember that movie, and that, geez, I thought it was just shit. I probably need to rewatch that someday.
Yeah. By the way, Seth Green makes fun of himself all the time for that movie. Like every blue moon on Robot Chicken, they'll do a fake sequel to it. That being said, I don't know how you saw that opening weekend when you could have saw the movie that I saw that came out this weekend, Entrapment.
I didn't see Entrapment.
Jones and Sean
Connery.
I didn't watch the Entrapment till months and months and months and months later. I don't think.
You know all those scenes, James? There was a stunt double. It wasn't her.
I didn't watch it for her. I watched it for Sean Connery.
By
the way, that's not too much of a joke because Sean Connery had done The Rock, and he was Bond, and he was a Bond that my parents loved him as Bond, so it's the Bond I grew up with, even though he had stopped bonding.
He is Bond.
But I don't know. I've been showing the films to my son, and he's like, I kind of prefer this guy, talking about Daniel Craig. And I'm like, why don't you shut your mouth and go back to your
Daniel Craig is the most versatile actor probably to ever play James Bond.
Yeah, I agree with that. Layer Cake. You ever see that Layer Cake? That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Entrapment, by the way, went on to make.
I'm sorry, he doesn't have anything on the accents that Sean Connery can produce.
All right, Sean,
Sean Connery is maybe the biggest. I don't know. Spielberg said it, and I don't know if I disagree. He's probably one of the biggest movie stars of all time, though.
Yeah. He could do whatever he wanted. And if you could get him,
you could get him. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. He was in some turkeys, but Sean Connery is one of the biggest movie stars of all time. International movie star Sean Connery. People are going to know who that is.
Now, true. In any culture. Matter of fact, so much so that if you could get his son or his brother in your movie, it helped them.
Yep.
Neil Connery doing Agent Kid Brother. It was re-released under 1,000 different names. I mean, it still made money in the 70s because he was Sean Connery's brother. Anyway, So that ends April. We get to May. Now, May has a film. And by the way, I mentioned this briefly. Entrapment made over $200 million. I forgot.
I didn't realize it was that big. Damn.
So May, when police do it, it's called entrapment. When I do it, it's called blackmail. May 1999, there was a movie that came out that at the very start of May that I literally can remember. I was working at the time, and there was one of the employees I was working with, their son came in and was like, I don't care about this Star Wars coming out. This is going to be the movie everybody's going to be talking about this summer. And he was not right, but he also wasn't wrong. But I'll get to that in a second. Because May 7th, we get these films. Zizou, the Sent Down Girl.
Yeah.
This Is My Father, both of those dramas. We get The Castle, the comedy. We get Swing, the musical, which nobody saw. revelation, but probably most importantly, kind of launched its own genre of action horror, The Mummy.
Yeah, it
That's what
did.
he was talking about. That's what he was talking about. He went to see The Mummy, and it literally, and now he was about 14. But I can remember he came into where she was working and said, I don't care about the Star Wars. This movie is going to be one people are going to be talking about. And he wasn't wrong.
I still say that movie is nothing without Brendan Fraser, though. I mean, if he wasn't in it, that movie would suck.
Yeah, he's good in that. I can't take anything away from him. I love the character actor. I forgot his name. Because that's Stephen Sommers.
Vosloo.
No,
Vosloo.
Not the actual mummy. The sidekick.
The brother, her brother.
From 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
No, you guys aren't even getting close. No, the actual villain. He played, not the actual villain, but the one who ended up possessed.
Oh, you're talking about
Kevin J. O'Connor. Kevin J.
O'Connor.
He's great in that. Yeah, the Mummy. All right, I'm going to defend it a little bit.
I don't. Think
Well, I think people shit on it all the time, but it's
people.
Problem is, there's just it's an adventure kids film that lifted heavily from a lot of things going from, but it is kind of a kids movie, right?
Well, but I think the problem is, I think
when you went to see The Mummy, you didn't particularly want to see.
But I don't think people wanted to see The Mummy either. Like I say that. Let me couch that a little bit. I showed my kids the original Universal horror films, and they watched them all, and they liked them all. But if I said, like, every blue moon, my son will say, I want to watch The Wolfman again. Or my daughter loved The Invisible Man.
Well, because it's hilarious.
But it's also,
it's dark as hell.
He kills more than any other Universal monster. He kills the entire.
But am I right? Isn't it hilarious and dark as hell? That's another James Whale movie. I mean, James Whale directed the 3 big ones, right? Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and The Invisible Man.
But what I was going to say is, if you watch the original Mummy, not the sequels, not the mashups, the original Mummy, it does not move the fastest.
No, it really has very little mummy.
No.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and that's not a slight toward Karloff. It's not a slight toward anybody. It's effective for what it is. But I don't think you could do a scene for scene remake of that and get people in chairs.
But why is that the one they always pick to start off? It's the one there. It was the one that Tom Cruise is going to do as their dark Universal, whatever. Why is it always The Mummy?
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's because of that, right? If you remake Dracula, oh God, you're going to have to, stacking up against Bela Lugosi,
I guess
that's going to be a little bit hard. You do Frankenstein, you're going to get compared to Boris Karloff. But even though Boris Karloff is also The Mummy, but you don't get that comparison.
No, I guess
Karloff is the monster.
It's always Karloff the one they go back to.
He is, but he's not. So I think that, that's if I had to guess, that's why.
They're fun movies. I actually don't think I've ever seen the third one.
I have. The one that I've seen the least, I've seen all 3 of them, of the main Mummy line. The Mummy linked film I've seen the least is the Scorpion King franchise that spun off of it, because
I saw one of those.
Everybody saw the Scorpion King, but isn't there like 2 direct-to-video ones or 3?
Yeah,
there's several. There's several.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you go back and look at the special effects for the Scorpion King's premiere and the Mummy films, and God, those are awful effects now, aren't they?
Yeah, I know. But Steven, that's another. It's interesting to me. One of my guilty pleasures, and my favorite Stephen Sommers film is Deep Rising. That was a huge bomb, and he ended up getting the Mummy out of that. I always find that fascinating. That was his next picture.
Yeah. Well, and so anyway, I do think though the Mummy is a film that, again. I don't know. I you say a lot of people don't like it, but I think a lot of people.
Don't you all think a lot of people like, what a piece of, you don't think a lot of film geeks like us hate on it?
Well, but it's one of those things that I don't know. I can't remember the exact words, but I guess I'll just Captain Jack Sparrow it. But you have heard of me, right?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not
paid $420 million,
and I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. It's a kid's adventure film with the Mummy in it.
And the funny thing about that one too is, the Matrix still to this day, those effects hold up. Matrix, the Mummy, not so much.
No, but you don't. And there's scenes in it that if you were playing that as true horror, wouldn't work. But since it's a horror comedy family film, like I love, and it's straight out of Star Wars too, right?
Yeah.
Han Solo running after the guards when, quite frankly, all they'd have to do is turn around and pop him. Yep. Same thing. He screams at the mummy screams back at him, whatever that
I haven't seen it in a long time. My kid may watch it. He may like it. And by the way, I kind of liked I didn't think the Tom Cruise one was awful either.
I watched it.
People shit on it, and I just like, yeah, it's all right. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I mean, it's not great, but
I'll disagree with both of you on that one. I thought it sucked.
Well, no.
Some of the banter in it is great, but that's about it.
My problem was I wanted more Russell Crowe. Like I got to the point where I'm like,
Jekyll.
Yeah,
I didn't need it. I don't think the movie needed him.
So, well, maybe I'm split there because I'm like, that's the only thing that I'm sad that we're not getting the world that they were building as they were going to build it. Because I'm like, I want to know more about what he's got going on. I mean, I know what he's got going on because I can learn what a name means. But anyway,
all right, let's keep moving, James. Yeah.
So the week of, and there's 2 weekend or midweek releases, but I'm going to put them all in 1 week. So the weekend of May 14th, your options at the box office are Iris Blonde, Layla, Endurance, Hack Hap, Wanda Rafui, Tea with Mussolini.
That I've heard of.
The underground comedy movie, which I remember being sold on VHS on television because it didn't make a lot of money. But the ones that were kind of bigger was Trippin', which made $10 million. But the one that was the breakout hit, I guess, of that weekend, not really breakout hit, it made $25 million. A Midsummer's Night Dream.
Okay.
Is
that the one with Michelle Pfeiffer and Stanley Tucci?
Yeah, I believe so. And then May 19th, nothing happened and the year was over. Star Wars Episode 1 drops.
So can I talk about my experience for this real quick?
Yeah, it just made $1 billion. So there you go.
Right. I am a huge Star Wars fan. Everybody already knows that. I was working for my dad that summer and went home from school, and I actually asked for the day off, and I don't even remember giving him the reason for what it was. What it was is I wanted to go see the first showing that day, the first day. Yep. I couldn't go the night before. I don't even know if they had a screening because it's a small town. And I remember going to that, and I bought the screenplay at a Walmart 2 days before. You could just buy the screenplay, which makes no sense to me now. And I refused to read it. And I watched that movie, and people stood up and cheered at the end, and I was so disheartened, just killed inside that this was even called Star Wars. And I went home immediately and read that screenplay thinking it could be me. And then realized, this is shit from the get-go. And I'm sure that screenplay was just whatever the shooting draft updated, whatever, to make it look like the movie, right? But it was so bad. I was so mad and sad. Both. I was sad.
See, I watched it alone, and I love Star Wars. I wasn't at the height that Joe was. I've never been that height of Star Wars fandom as Joe was. I love Star Wars. I'm just not that level. But I watched Phantom Menace by myself, and I'm like, did I miss something? I don't get this. Is this supposed to be good? Is this really where we're going with this? I didn't understand anything, any of the appeal. And then that's when I started hearing about, this is terrible. I'm like, okay, so I am not the only one who felt this way, because I watched it and I wasn't disheartened. I'm just like, man, this is terrible.
I had waited a long time, and it was, I was there opening night for all of the re-release of the trilogy, and most of the new scenes didn't really bother me too bad. I was just happy to see Star Wars in the theater because I didn't get to see
on a big screen.
I know after I saw it, I was in a car with some former acquaintances from high school. We were driving to Louisville, and that's all they talked about. and I had to sit in the back and not say a word because I did not get it at all. They were going back and forth about all the what the sequel was going to be, what this was going to be, and how
none of it was correct. They didn't get any of it.
Oh no, all of it. Like the whole thing about Attack of the Clones, they thought that Obi-Wan.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that.
Yeah, and I was like, and it was just going back and forth, and I'm just sitting in the back going, that movie sucked. What did these people see in it? And I still, to this day, those who defend it, I just don't get it. I've watched it a few times. I have grown more.
Yes,
softer on it.
I've gotten softer on it. I like scenes in it.
Yeah.
But overall, it is a mess, and it's poorly written.
Yeah.
And poorly acted.
George Lucas should not have had the full control that he did, but he's that powerful of a person.
It's poorly acted and poorly written film.
Well, and I think it's Red Letter Media or some company like that actually has that 3 hour where they tear it apart. But they have footage of him, which I'm sure was on, where it's after a screening. He's shown it to some of the producers and stuff, and he even looks up and goes, "We tried to do too much."
Yeah,
I remember that. That's honestly what it feels like. It's because you're trying to get that political intrigue. You're trying to do, and I think that's. Well, I'm gonna be honest. So I liked Star Wars as a kid. I always loved Star Trek, Star Wars. I liked, and then I got to see Star Wars on the big screen, and it did change it for me because when they did the re-release and I got to see those battles are different on the big screen.
It's just different.
Watching it on my old 27-inch whatever TV and
tube television.
Yeah, it was. But then you saw on screen, okay, yeah, I can imagine in 77 what this would have felt like. You didn't see stuff like this. But your space scenes was somebody hung up a black sheet and poked holes in it so it looks like stars, right? And then this came out. So I appreciate it more. That being said, let me tell the opposite side of the story that you all have told. James Thomas profiteered off of this nonstop. I was in Lexington at the time. I had went away to college, and it was my freshman year, and I didn't have too much going on. And so I guess it was in February or something that the toys dropped. And Toys R Us, which was a store that used to exist, announced we're going to be open at midnight for the release of all the Star Wars merchandise. And I literally was working, I think, night desk at the time. And so I didn't go on till 4 a.m. So I was like, I'll go before I go to work. And so I went to Toys R Us, and literally there was this lady at the door. She was on her phone. She had a cellular phone, which at that time meant she had. But she was on her phone. She goes, "What do you mean .00s? Look for the .00s." And you could flip over the action figures. And even though they all had just came out, some said .00, some said .01. It was the original painting or the touch-ups. Mm-hmm. And if you could find the ones that had their... So I literally went through Toys R Us, overhearing this lady on the phone, and just picked up 2 of every action figure, making sure they were all .00. I then bought them and drove my happy butt home.
Yeah.
And listed those things on eBay. And I made about 4 times what I paid, which is how I paid off some debt. I'll be honest. I didn't do anything cool. I would love to say, and that's why I lived in Aruba. No, I paid off debt. I paid off some of my student debt at the time. And so that's kind of my experience with it, because I watched it and I was like, meh, but I wasn't furious. There were things though that structurally, say whatever you will about the Space Wizards movies. Those original 3 films hold up and follow some sort of logic. It's much like The Matrix. If you pick away at it, it gets
right.
But my problem with the first one is, so we see Jedi, and Lucas had said in an interview that I watched before I watched it, you're going to get to see Jedis when they're Jedis. Mm-hmm. His argument was, when you see Obi-Wan duel with Darth Vader, these are 2 old men. Mm-hmm. One of them is severely battle damaged, hurt. The other one's old and out of practice. And, he said, so you're going to see, and we got to see that. We get to see Jedis moving fast. They actually use that force speed. They do all that stuff, except, when they need it. And that was what got to me. I was sitting in the theater going, wait a second. Earlier, they could hold their breath to get through gas, and they could force run. But then when Obi-Wan needs to help, Qui-Gon, he forgets how to do that? He can't force run fast enough through all those beams. It felt a little.
But it was a double lightsaber, James.
Which is
was
cool.
And that's what made it cool.
Until he opened his mouth. Why they never give Darth Maul a cool voice is beyond me.
Well, and my entire thing. But by the way, though, I actually support that. We live in a world with Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson walked in right now and said, "I'm going to punch you," I would soil myself in fear. I don't care that he's however old he is now. He would hurt me. That being said, what does Mike Tyson sound like? Not the voice you would have seen.
Angels singing.
So,
all right, should we finish out through May or June and then go to our next episode? I think we're close to an hour and a half.
Yeah. Let's get through June. That's the halfway point of the year, right?
Okay.
So May 19th, Star Wars drops middle of the week. These people decided to still release a movie that Friday. Besieged would go on to make $2 million. Frogs for Snakes. Anybody? I don't even know what that's about, but I'm curious.
I like
The
Frogs
Love Letter.
Snakes.
The Love Letter was a romantic comedy that made $9 million. Olympia, and most important to me, Trekkies.
Yeah.
Trekkies came out. It's a documentary, and it's about how fandom worked. It's an interesting counterplay to what was going on with Star Wars that week. So I give them some credit for dropping that. May 28th, we get 5 films. So we're now, 10 days out from Star Wars release. Eternity in a Day, The Loss of Sexual Innocence, Twice Upon a Yesterday, and the 2 big films, one of which is not big, but it again feeds into that what was in the water for the Matrix, The 13th Floor.
Yeah.
Comes out that week. But
That was a good film.
the movie that goes on to make $363 million, despite the onslaught of a Star War, Notting Hill.
Yeah. Which is odd.
odd
enough that is the one Richard Curtis film. I know it's written by him that I don't like.
I don't like it either.
I love all the other ones. I love About Time. I love Love Actually. I love Four Weddings and a Funeral.
It was kind of funny. I went to London shortly after this movie was released, and I went with a group of students. And I had my agenda. I wanted to go to Big Ben. I wanted to see Parliament. I wanted to go all these at Piccadilly Circus, everywhere. Everybody else in my crew, all they cared about was, I want to go to Notting Hill and see where Hugh Grant lived. I'm like, that's your whole purpose for going on this trip?
That makes no sense because, yeah, I guess it is Hugh Grant. For a split second, I was like, Hugh Grant said that? I forgot it was Hugh Grant.
Yeah, it's Hugh Grant. Yeah, everybody was like, I want to go see where Hugh Grant lived and where he fell in love with Julia Roberts. I'm like, there is so much more to London, and that is all they were focused on. And that's another reason why I dislike this film.
I want to see. I would have liked to see Parliament, but I want to see him with George Clinton.
It is funkadelic.
Yeah. All right. Next weekend,
June 4th. Again, a glut of movies drop. I'll just go through them. Nobody, Strawberry Fields,
yeah,
Touch Me, Limbo, Asterix, the adventure cartoon, Buena Vista Social Club documentary went on to make $20 million.
Yeah, the Cuban thing, right?
A movie that, Desert Blue, Finding North, the romantic comedy, and a movie that we've had the author on the show, Free Enterprise, came out that weekend. And the movie though that made the most that weekend, Instinct, thriller suspense, $34 million. All right, moving on. Anybody has any?
Nope.
The next weekend, I'm sorry, I guess the Thursday early premiere is the movie that advertised itself with the great opening, the backdrop of the cone slowly opening, very Star Wars-esque, with the opening narration of, if you see only one
movie
this summer, it probably should be Star Wars. But if you see 2 films, it should be Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Let's take a pause on that. You know what's fascinating about that movie, other than I love the movie and it was huge, is I had no desire to see the first Austin Powers, got dragged to the cinema, loved it. I don't even know if that was a huge Mike Myers fan. And that was a fairly decent hit. you don't realize later that The Spy Who Shagged Me made almost 4 times what the original Austin Powers movie made. It was a cultural phenomenon. The movie came out on video and DVD, the first Austin Powers, and it blew up. And they got a sequel, and the sequel, I'm almost positive, if you guys look it up, made almost 4 times more than the original Austin Powers film.
It made $312 million. I think it's more than 4 times what the original Austin Powers made. Because Austin Powers was kind of a sleeper film, but
it's kind of a sleeper hit. It
blew up on DVD.
Yeah.
It just had time. It had time to brew, and then by the time Spy Who Shagged Me came out, everybody wanted to see it.
It was good, and it was a good sequel.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, I'm amazed, and at every blue moon you'll hear another one's coming and all that. So I don't know how we're not, and just unless Mike Myers doesn't want to do it, how we're not drowning in more Austin Powers films.
Love Guru killed him.
By the way, Love Guru is not as bad as everybody said it was.
James.
There's a third of that movie that's watchable.
Really?
Oh, yeah. James.
Really? No. Yeah. I'm saying I agree with you. Probably a third of the movie.
Timberlake is pretty rough in that.
But there's a lot of worse films out there. Like
there are worse films. The hockey puck shooting the other thing made me laugh in the cinema so loud. The animation. That's what I'm saying.
I don't see how everybody, because he got so much crap for the Love Guru, but I'm like, I don't see how. It's kind of the same way I feel about Dana Carvey, Master of Disguise. It was meant to be a kids movie. The people who went in expecting it to not be a kids movie, I don't know what you were thinking. Like,
Love Guru was not meant to be a kids movie.
No, Love Guru is not, but it also wasn't meant to be Austin Powers, right? No. And
I think the problem was with that one, and you all can argue with me if you want. The problem was all the jokes that are in Love Guru are in Austin Powers. They just cleaned them up a little to make them. Those jokes are still the same.
That's one problem.
I will say,
and it's not overly fun.
The one thing, no, it's not really the one part. I laughed at a few parts. I'll give you that. I did laugh at a few parts of Love Guru, but probably the hardest I laughed is when they went into the coach's office and everything is shorter.
I don't remember.
Oh, that was the best part of it.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen it in a while, but I was shocked at how many people attacked him after that came out.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked too, but
because it's not. No, I'm not saying it's his best work by any means, but it's not as terrible as so many people made it out to be. Besides, I just appreciate the fact he keeps using Mariska Hargitay as a greeting, and then Mariska
Hargitay shows up. Yeah.
I don't know why, but that type of humor always works on me. Anyway, but Austin Powers, made $312 million while there was still a Star War going on.
Yeah, it's a big hit.
So the other movies that came out that weekend were not. Just a Little Harmless Sex. One movie, though, that I do want to mention, because I mentioned on the show before, Le Violon Rouge, The Red Violin. The Red Violin did come out that weekend, $10 million. And then Siftoum, which is another international film. June 16th, another Wednesday premiere, Tarzan. You'll Be in My Heart. Anyway, the Disney Tarzan. But I didn't see that weekend.
I didn't either.
Because on June 18th,
I've never seen
a couple other movies that came out. One of them was Straight from the Heart, the musical. Red Dwarf, release of the British in theaters. Lola Run, Lola Run.
Yeah.
I didn't see that either. An Ideal Husband, didn't see that because I went and saw
Not An Ideal Husband
the song,
emulated it.
The movie that begins with the traditional recording of Sea Lion Woman, The General's Daughter, which is a dark little film.
I like The General's Daughter.
I do too, but it's a dark little. Literally,
I don't remember anything about it.
That end of the movie.
James Woods,
John Travolta standing next to
Madeline Stowe.
No, Zephyr Cochrane.
James Cromwell.
James Cromwell, thank you. Standing next to James Cromwell and said, you wanted me to find out who did this. I didn't know I'd be standing next to the son of a when I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great, because there's nothing he can really do.
I didn't realize it was directed by Simon West.
Yep.
The General's Daughter is, it's not a perfect film, but it did stick with me. I do own it on DVD. It's not quite Payback, Chad, but it's
I saw it. I think I liked it. I can't remember anything about it.
I think one of the things that stick in my head with it is it and 8mm both coming out that year was kind of this dark side of sex in films, because she, the general's daughter is sexually assaulted and all that stuff, and before she's murdered. Anyway, so Run Lola Run, General's Daughter, came out that weekend. Now, Joe and Chad, I meant to say, I know you were waiting for this because you're all waiting for me to mention June 22nd, which was when Space Truckers came out.
I watched Space Truckers this week.
How's it hold up?
Not well. Oh man, that movie. I had such fond memories of it, and I watched it this week, and I wish I would have just kept those memories.
Yeah, that's probably a mistake.
Oh man, if it had I didn't realize one of the villains was oh God help me, Last Action Hero, Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, he's the guy, and he has to like jump start his penis.
Yeah, he has to jump start his penis. Yeah.
Ooh,
man.
I haven't seen Space Truckers in a long time, and I don't remember any of what y'all just said. So
square pigs, James. Square pigs. They're easier to haul. And by the way, if you're going to buy a new, you don't pay. It wasn't extras. What is it, Chad? It's whatever when you're buying a car.
Oh, you don't pay for options.
You don't pay for options. That's what options is. What?
Yeah, because they were like, you got a fridge? No, well, this doesn't have a fridge. That was an option. You don't buy options.
Yep.
And by the way, that is also not a movie that you want to watch in 4K. You see the wires. I'm like, oh no.
Is it kind of like, and obviously I didn't even watch this in 4K, but you could see them in VHS. Cemetery Man. That's one of the only gripes I have at Cemetery Man. They made no effort to cover some of the wires that they used in that film.
I don't remember.
I need to see Cemetery Man again.
I love Cemetery Man.
I do too. I loved it. I haven't seen it in years.
It's definitely not a film you see because the special effects are going to be great.
All right. What's the next
June
weekend?
25th. We get the following, mostly documentaries, oddly enough. And Baby Makes 2 documentary. Hard.
Not right now.
Not well. I am a little bit after Square Pigs.
My Son the Fanatic. Regret to Inform. Again, the documentary. Shiloh 2. Shiloh season. When Love Comes, which was a drama. Zone 39. All of these nobody remembers. You know why? They got smacked down by a man who made us believe that a water boy could be a football player and that he could play golf because he now was going to be a father figure. Big Daddy came.
Hmm.
By the way, I like Adam Sandler films as escapism. This is the one, I'll be honest, I've never seen. I just didn't care. Like him as a water boy, funny, weird, entertaining, fine. Him playing golf and being angry all the time. Okay, that's something about him being, okay, I'm going to adopt this kid to impress a woman. I was like, it just doesn't interest me. Maybe because it's not outlandish enough for me.
I'm not a huge Adam Sandler fan. He has more talent than people who shit on him give him credit for.
Yes,
he's just another one of those, like, God bless John Candy. John Candy was in so many turkeys. And but
if he was in it, it was better because he was in it.
I agree. I don't know that I can say that about Adam Sandler, but Adam Sandler, I can't say that. But Adam Sandler's been in a lot of bad movies.
That being said, my kids,
but a lot of them are successful.
Well, I was gonna say, my kids loved, is it Hubie Halloween or Hobie Halloween, whatever.
I never watched it.
I'm not saying you're missing anything, but we watched it as a family, and there were a couple times I was like, okay. I mean, it was something I could watch with them.
Right.
He is now in the age range. My kids are old enough where I'm like, if it's, I mean, I'm not going to show them what's the movie he did, the dark gritty one that he.
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems.
Definitely show them Uncut Gems. That's a great movie.
great family film. Just set them
down. Probably show them what not to do.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Big Daddy came out that weekend. June 29th, we get The Wind, which is a horror film nobody heard of. But more importantly, June 30th, 2 films drop, and they are 2 very, very different films. And I think this is a good way to end this up, the beginning of this. So we've got a Star War, we've got all this stuff going on. We've had some really great movies. We've got The Matrix shaking things up.
Shag, baby, yeah.
You've got Austin Powers. You've got 8mm Darkness. You've got October Sky, which is kind of
got space and truckers.
You've got this heartfelt film. You've got Varsity Blues, which Joe loves so much. You've got all these great films. What are you going to end June with and go into the July 4th weekend with? What possibly could you do? Well, you're going to need two very, very different things. You're going to go in with your big stars, and that means you're going in with Eric Cartman, South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and you're going in with Wiki Wiki Yo Yo Bang Bang, Wild Wild West.
Oh my God.
Well, I missed Wild Wild West, but I did see South Park opening weekend at Fugits.
On both.
And buddy, let me tell you, the people with the kids getting up at that, it's the second song, right?
Are you talking about the one about relationships with one's uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's the second song, and that's when they started. Because honestly, for the first 10 minutes of South Park, Longer and Uncut, if you didn't know South Park, you think it's a kids movie because they're going to go see a kids movie about Terrence and Phillip. Yeah. And then you get to that second song, and then people are doing things to their uncle, and we're in the scene. You see people getting out of the Terrence and Phillip movie and walking out. I watched that shit happen in real time at Fugit Cinema in Hazard, Kentucky. It's stuck right here, buddy. 20 years, 22
by the way,
who didn't know?
And I was going to say, and I remember reading it. I remember reading an interview with Trey Parker and Matt Stone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they said that they were pretty sure that some of Wild Wild West earnings was kids bought tickets to that and snuck into their film.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Like,
yeah,
that was pretty solid. But in and of itself, South Park made $52 million. That's not bad.
No, it wasn't a big hit though.
But it got nominated for an Oscar, performed for the song Blame Canada.
Robin Williams.
Performed by Robin Williams, and I'll never forget him coming out with tape on
duct tape on his mouth. Yeah.
But Wild Wild West went on to make $221 million, which was sizable, but it wasn't the next Men in Black. It was not. It was not as huge as they thought it would be.
That being terrible.
Said, well, that being said,
it does have a couple of good scenes, Chad.
No, it does. I'm not, dude.
Everything with what's his face is
Kevin
pure
Kline.
gold.
Any movie that has Kevin Kline, Ted Levine, and Kenneth Branagh in it is going to have some, and Selma Hayek, of course.
Everything with Kenneth Branagh is gold.
Yeah. Yeah, and Will Smith. I mean, any movie that has that amount of talent in one film is going to have its moments. That being said, it's not very good.
Oh no, it's a fucking mess.
No, I think that's
enjoyable scene.
Kevin Kline is one of my favorite actors of all time. I have watched that at least 3 times just because I know Kevin Kline's in it, and him and Ted Levine make that movie entertaining, and Kenneth Branagh. They all make it entertaining for me in parts. So,
well, I was going to say, and I think that's the problem. It's a disjointed monster in that it's not. I mean, there's parts of that movie that I like, except that they shouldn't be in that movie, right? I mean, the
which Kevin Smith has a great story about that movie as well. So, it's just
in the making of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, because I think the Wild Wild West TV series, I mean, so my family, when they saw because I watched it in theaters, but my family didn't go to theaters a lot. So when they saw it probably on DVD or VHS, one or the other, I can remember my parents going, well, that's not what the show was like. And I was like, no, I don't think that's what they were aiming for. Like, they took this idea that, you've got Artemis Gordon building all this cool stuff and all that stuff, and they made him, a little, I don't know, different. And so I think that was one of the things it was not what for those remaining Wild Wild West fans that loved the TV show, it was not what they expected.
Yep.
And it also wasn't what new people were expecting. They were expecting Men in Black. They got a little bit of steampunk in there.
Yeah.
They got a bit of mismatched, bro comedy or whatever.
That's probably true. That's probably where I started to get a little. Maybe where I first started. Well, I probably knew about steampunk before then, but I'm not for sure. But it is steampunk. You are right.
But none of it meshed really well because you had a little bit of social commentary. He was a Buffalo Soldier, and you had the history of that. But it just doesn't gel well together because they're doing too much at once. And that being said, obviously, I've watched the film a few times. Yep. And I'll be honest, a couple of the scenes that are terrible are also scenes that are stuck in my head. The back and forth between Will Smith and the Baron, as where they're going back and forth, and basically one is using nonstop racial slurs against the other. The other one's making comments about the other one's ability. Yeah. It is terrible, and both of them are terrible for doing it. And we're both watching. We're sitting there as the audience, going, "These are terrible people." On some level, I mean, it's just not even enough.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that is how we end June and go into July for the main summer season. But we have already, as we said, 1999. We've had multiple huge franchise films already.
All right, guys. Well, not to wrap it up, we're almost at 2 hours. So we're going to have part 2 where we deal with 1999 from July 1st on. Ooh, I can't wait to see what was the 4th of July weekend.
I'll tell you what, it's not. Astronaut's Wife. That comes later.
All right. This has been Bonehead.